It's as busy a time as ever on the International Space Station. NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Anil Menon conducted a spacewalk on August 6th, with two more set for August 18th and 25th. August 12th, the view from the International Space Station offered a partial solar eclipse. And in 1 month, they'll be watching for this, the approach of SpaceX's Dragon called Grace. It will be flying for just the second time. Its first outing was a private astronaut mission to the ISS managed by Axiom Space. This time, it'll be carrying NASA's SpaceX Crew-13 on board. Among the crew, NASA astronaut Jessica Watkins is the only member who has been to space before. She made history back in 2022 when she became the first black female astronaut to serve a long-duration mission on board the ISS. Now, 4 years after serving as mission specialist on Crew-4, Watkins is in the commander role of Crew-13.
That experience has enabled me to take a bit of a step back and provided some bandwidth to be able to focus on my crew and really think about what my crew might need, anticipate what they might need, from a mission overview standpoint, but also just from a kind of just on a human level. Having had this experience and seeing what challenges both I and my previous crewmates faced, being able to try to preempt those as much as I can and prepare my crew for what I expect that they will experience as well has really been a really neat challenge for me and a really fulfilling process to be able to step into.
During the last week of July, Watkins and her crew completed training on a mock-up of SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft out at Hawthorne, California. That's just part of the training flow leading up to their mission. They've also been preparing for possible spacewalks and using Canadarm2.
And then, of course, we have our training with our international partners. So with ESA, JAXA, CSA, Roscosmos as well. We all have training in each of those different segments as well, so we're familiar with that, both the equipment as well as those teams that are operating in those segments. So lots of different kinds of training that all come together on launch day and prepare us for the Dragon ride and then our time on ISS as well.
Among Watkins' crew is a fellow member of the 2017 astronaut class called the Turtles, Josh Kutryk. After nearly a decade of preparation for his first spaceflight, he says he can distill his thoughts about the mission down to two main feelings: excited and proud.
Excited because it's been a long time, dreamt of it my whole life, been training for it for a lot of years, and you know about the Starliner history because we talked about it last time. So for all those reasons, really exciting to have it this close. And then also, I think we all four of us would say this, we feel proud to be representing our nations, our agencies, to be trusted and given the opportunity to do this.
Touching on that passing reference to the Starliner history, Kutryk was, at one point, training to fly as a mission specialist on the first crew rotation mission of Boeing's CST-100 Starliner spacecraft. After the Type A mishap during the crew flight test in 2024 forced the return of the vehicle from the space station without its crew, the 4 people training for Starliner 1 were eventually moved off to other assignments, including Kutryk. A Type A mishap is the most serious classification for an anomaly. The Challenger and Columbia disasters both received this designation. During the Crew-13 briefing at the Johnson Space Center, NASA's Dana Weigel said the timing for the next launch of Starliner, which will be an uncrewed mission, is contingent on both timing and technical developments.
On the technical side, Boeing has done a great job making thermal modifications to the spacecraft. So I think we've shared before, but some of the warmer temperatures that the propulsion system saw were part of the issue. And so they've done a lot of things with thermal barriers and thermal shunts to the spacecraft. So when you make that type of modification, then you got to go back and kind of look at the integrated system and say, okay, how do I expect it to perform with those modifications? So that's some of the work that's still being closed out. Separately, we have a pretty busy launch schedule. You know, we only have 2 docking ports, and we have a lot of other constraints on board, like we have beta cutouts when we can't do dockings. And so we've got to line up that body of technical work we need to complete with openings that we have on station. So that's something that we'll continue to look at as we get better resolution on the overall schedule to finish the technical work.
Kutryk represents the first Canadian to fly to the space station under the Commercial Crew program. It also bookends a notable year for Canada's astronaut program.
2026 so far has been a remarkable year for Canada in space. Of course, everyone's seen Artemis 2, the very successful mission with Canadian astronaut Jeremy Henson on board, and really that captured the pride of all Canadians. And now, in the same year, we have another Canadian who's going to go to space. So Canadian astronaut Josh Kutryk will fly to space on his very first mission, but this will be the fourth long-duration mission for a Canadian astronaut to the International Space Station. You'll recall that the last time was David Saint-Jacques, who came back in 2019.
Another rookie on board Crew-13 is Luke Delaney, a Florida native and member of the 2021 astronaut class called the Flies. The former naval aviator says growing up in the backyard of the Kennedy Space Center had a lot to do with his path in life.
Growing up, watching some launches, they weren't quite as frequent back then, so it was a pretty big deal if you were able to catch a space shuttle launch. And they definitely played a part in kind of driving me towards both engineering background a little bit, aviation and those kind of things. I think it's just when you're little and you see something like that and you're trying to reconcile that there's humans on that vehicle and they're going to go live in space for a little bit and come back. That's just a huge motivation, inspiration, however you want to put it. So for me, that was a big pinnacle aspect of going down that track for an astronaut.
The third first-time flyer on board Crew-13 is cosmonaut Sergey Teteryatnikov. The submariner says, speaking through a translator, that his path to wearing this blue flight suit came, in part, by a chance meeting.
И моя судьба была связана с морем. Я закончил военно-морской институт.
In the course of my career, at some point, I had a meeting with a cosmonaut. Those are regularly held. And I was told that actually there is an open contest and one can try to become a cosmonaut, which I did when I was 30 years old. And that's how it all started. And I started my cosmonaut training in 2021.
During the crew's time in space, they will conduct a host of technology demonstrations as well as many science experiments.
There's science across the board on the human level. We'll be looking to help characterize some blood flow in a microgravity environment, also fluid shift and how that impacts vision. We'll have those studies going on. And outside of that, we'll be looking to characterize stem cells, so some stem cell growth studies will be going on with plants as well. So we're looking for developing plant habitats, potentially aboard station, throughout station if we desire, but also in a sustainable habitat that'll be up there as well. As you might expect, equally exciting, or perhaps even more exciting in some ways, is the spacewalking aspect. So we're looking at a handful of those potentially to upgrade station power requirements, and also looking to get AMS, at least the preparation steps together, to get AMS upgraded for future operations. So for me, between the science, the spacewalks, and everything else that the expedition's going to have, it's looking to be a great time.
While the crew operations will look fairly similar to previous Dragon missions, Richard Jones, the Deputy Director of the Commercial Crew Office within the LEO program, says there are some notable changes for this mission.
One of them is an improvement to, and it's called the Mud Flap 2.0 design. The Mud Flap is a structural panel that is just underneath all of the Super Dracos that would be used if an ascent abort were required. The design is being updated from a composite design to a metallic design. It's going to help with structural margins and manufacturability, so that's going to be a really nice change to see come forward. From a pad operations perspective, SpaceX will be moving to a new private rescue capability. If you remember going back to the Crew-12 mission, it was competing a little bit with the Artemis 2 preparations. And so SpaceX is going to rely on their own team if such a contingency were to come up, that they would have to extract the crew on the pad surface or within the Dragon. That capability they've proved out through a lot of end-to-end testing, a lot of certification. They're ready to go in that area. Really cool thing I ought to mention is that they're using Cybertrucks instead of the MRAP vehicles that have been used in going back many years. Cybertrucks will get them out of that blast danger area quickly in a very very good fashion. So looking forward to that improvement. And finally, the R3 suits. The suits themselves have been undergoing a big improvement over many missions now. This is the latest rev of that suit. It's the suits themselves have been improved to improve donning and doffing capabilities, as well as basically adjustments to account for spinal growth on orbit. So those suits are also first-time flyers for this time around.
The mission is set to launch no earlier than September 12th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if all goes well, that means Crew-13 will dock with the space station as, fate would have it, on September 13. Reporting for Spaceflight Now, I'm Will Robinson Smith.